Hi, are you interested in a simple and colourful cottage garden style of gardening? Are you interested in growing your own dye plants? Would you like to attract more bees, butterflies and birds into your garden? My name is Nicola Brown. I'm a textile artist living in rural southeast Ireland, and I grow my own plants to colour my textiles. During this short video, I bring you on a tour of my garden. Primarily the eco print and dye borders, which are having their second birthday this July. They were planted 24 months ago, and it's amazing how productive they are already. I also bring you on a brief tour around the rest of the garden at Clasheen, just to put the textile practice into perspective. As I walk up the path towards my off-the-grid studio, the print and dye borders are on the left-hand side. The dry stone wall that borders the lane is the backdrop for these flowers. The lower two borders are more shaded than the upper three. I've selected plants and tried to position them where I think they will thrive, although there does need to be some work moving a few things around. I have selected my plants because of the beauty of their flowers, obviously, but primarily for their leaves, which I use in the eco printing pot. These, for example, are epimedium, and they are wonderful when I'm working with tannin and iron reactions. And here's one of the different persicarias that I grow. Again, another beautiful plant in the eco printing pot. Persicaria leaves and flowers also print beautifully on leather, as these two small samples demonstrate. The colour of the leaf may be different depending on whether the upper surface or lower surface is in contact with the leather. If you're interested in felting, eco printing or growing your own dye plants, please hit the subscribe button now. Here's a little section of border that really does need some work. I'm using it for some young plants and to bring them on, but also there are some issues with certain plants, so I need to rework it. And I'm delighted that some things such as the geranium madarensis, that has self-seeded, and I'm going to be able to add some of those plants to gaps in the borders higher up. Next are some towering plants with beautiful yellow flowers. Verbascum, Liguillaria, and Reseda luteola, which is Dyer's Weld. I allow this to self-seed. It needs to be harvested, but I also want extra plants to use for future years and also plant elsewhere. I actually measured the tallest of these verbascum flowers on the birthday of the dye borders, and they were 2 meters 88 centimeters. I also love how some feverfew has self-seeded at the opposite end of this border. It provides a beautiful cushion of white and yellow flowers. Border number 4 is the primary area where I grow comfrey. It produces a beautiful natural dye, can be used as an organic fertilizer or a mulch, and it's a favourite of the bees. I couldn't be happier that I have 2 different colours here, a purple and a pink, and it's a never-ending source of inspiration to just go out and look at the beautiful flowers and see what bees they have attracted. In the border next to the studio, the tallest plant that you can see here is Inula hookery. It's really statuesque and soon is going to be covered in a mass of yellow blooms. We're having a little bit of a strange season because the Inula flowers didn't colour up until far later last summer, while there are other plants in this border that actually were masses of blooms, covered in masses of blooms earlier in the season. This Verbena bonarensis would be one of them, and it's only just starting to come to flower now. All the yarrows, such as this pomegranate variety, they're all starting to colour up well now, but a week ago they almost had no colour whatsoever. What's also very interesting is that I only planted pomegranate as a named variety, but all the seedlings are mixed. Some are pale pink, some are white or a creamy white, and some are a deeper pink. Walking along by the side of the studio, there's an area at the back that I am clearing and concentrating on planting. I have put some new plants in there this year because I felt it was better to get them in the ground rather than have them in the pots. But you can see that the beautiful old dry stone wall needs work on it, and I have a good bit of weeding to do here. Swinging back around, there's Sweet Pip looking at the bees. Swinging back around, I'm very excited to say that the pokeweed, which is an American plant, one of my good friends, Susanna Crampton, a relative of hers, brought this back from America many generations ago. I got a lovely big root from her earlier in the year, and as you can see, it's growing well. I subdivided the root, so I have 3 clumps of it here, and then I have another at the back of the studio. Swinging back around to look over towards the mountains, the monarda is another plant in the border with plenty of buds about to open. With the dye borders at my back, I look out at a selection of trees I've planted in the garden, and the view is just beautiful towards Slieve Bawn or White Mountain. There's a walnut, that's the shinier green leaf there in the middle, and a wide selection of different eucalypts. Surrounding this mown area, I've left the grass long. I've also left selected areas, quite large patches within the garden long. And I love seeing the different grasses and flowers that bloom there. The seed pods of the rose bay willow herb are particularly useful for eco printing. I have a selection of fruit trees, apple, cherry and pear. And then swinging around to the front of the house, I have another garden backing onto this dry stone wall. So looking towards the front of the house, the herbaceous border is at the right-hand side. And there's a paved area where I absolutely love sitting out and enjoying breakfast, or again, just relaxing and chatting with friends. It's an area of the garden that I'm currently working on. I need to do plenty of weeding because when you garden organically, it's very much more difficult to keep things under control. But I know it will all come together over the next few weeks, and it's something that gives me an awful lot of pleasure. To follow my progress as I develop my practice at Clasheen, to get tips and advice about felting, eco-printing and growing cottage style dye borders, please hit the subscribe button below. If you're interested in online workshops, the link is in the description. And if you're interested in a subscription service where I share behind the scenes looks or views at my work, my textiles, life in general in Ireland, things I don't share with everybody online, please consider joining my Patreon. Thank you for your time, and I really hope you enjoyed this short glimpse around the garden at Clasheen. Until next time.